Hello and welcome to the Dutching channel. It is Wednesday the 3rd of April 2024. It's just approaching 10 o'clock in the evening. And I'm going to do a tutorial because I don't get time to do this during the day. This is roughly, and I do mean roughly, how Timeform would get their figures. So I'm going to show you a race from earlier this evening, the 7:30 at Kempton. But when I've done this system for many years, so it's not something I've just made up 5 minutes ago. And this is a very profitable system as well. But when you're doing one system, you can't run another one side by side. So this is just something I want to show you. Perhaps you can have a look at it yourself. And maybe when I stop the other system, I've only taken that one on for April at the moment with everybody involved. But then maybe I'll look at this one going forward. But I am going to show you everything. So this isn't going to be a 5-minute video. I'm going to work out all these 7 runners. Maybe these will take a few minutes on each. This may be at least half an hour. But I'll go through everything with you and you can see how to get to the result. So we'll start, as usual, I always have some kind of spreadsheet, and I've just blown this one up a little bit so we can use it and you can see it better. So the first thing we'll do is get rid of everything else that we don't need on the sheet, and we're just going to need the 7 runners. So what we'll do first of all, I don't know if anybody remembers this race tonight, but we had Bella Coppella. She's Sentimental was the winner. But if you was to work this system over today, I would find that you've most probably won most of the races. You wouldn't have won the last race. And when I'm using this system, I don't mind betting in maidens because it gives you a very good figure of the one that should win. And I don't know if anybody knows how Timeform works, but I'll show you as we go along. So what we're going to do, we've got the top horse here in the weights is Bella Coppella. So we're going to start off with this. And as per usual, we're going to use the last 3 races. But it's totally different from the stakes and everything else that I use. Now you can see because this race was earlier on, they've already put the result up and everything else. But one thing that they can't put up is the Racing Post ratings, all right, which is along the lines of Timeform as well. But we don't actually want that one anyway because we're going to pretend that we've done this beforehand. Now, if a horse has won, that's the original figure that we use, right? The 79. It's 1. You can't do anything other than that figure. Right, now we're using the horse's last 3 runnings. So in the first column, we're going to put 79. We don't even need to click on it to open it because it didn't get beat by any lengths and it hasn't had a different weight, right? Which I'll explain as we go into the next horse or the next line of form. But we know this horse has won twice because the other one is on the 3rd line. So we'll get rid of that one as well. That one off 71. And again, I'm using the Racing Post ratings because they're pretty much the same as Timeform. So now we're going to go back to the middle race, which you can see here, finished 2nd of 12 of 72. Now, forget the 72 because this horse didn't win. You only use that figure if the horse won. So we click onto the race, open it up, and the Racing Post rating for that race, as you can see, was 75. Doesn't matter who won it, doesn't matter if your horse was last or wherever it is, as long as it hasn't won, otherwise it's a waste of time clicking on it. So, the Racing Post ratings for this race was 75. Alright, there's nothing to do with our horse, it's just the rating of that particular race. Now you can see in the next column there was beaten. And this is the first time we've had to do it because when you win, you're not beating anything. Now we look down and we see that Bella Capella has been beaten by 3/4 of a length. Now the one thing you're mostly not going to know is all the differences between distances. And this has to be minus because this is what it's been beaten, it's behind. So this has been beaten 3/4 of one length, and 3/4 of anything is 0.75. Right, so we minus that off of the Racing Post rating of 75. Then in our third column has to be the difference in pounds. So did our horse carry a higher weight or a lower weight than the winner? And we can see here that Bella Capella had 9 stone 8 and the winner had 9 stone 6. Now if you carry more weight, the difference of those two is 2 pounds. And again, if you don't know too much about pounds and ounces, that there are 14 pounds in 1 stone. And that's how this is done. So you can see there 9 stone 8 as opposed to 9 stone 6. Bella Capella carried 2 pounds more than Phoenix Beach. So when we go back here, we put 2, because that's a +2, because it carried more. If it carries less, it will become a minus. But that is it for that horse. So as we go along, you will see 79, 76, 25, and 71. So we're going to put in here 79. So that will be our rating for that horse. Now, before I go on with any other horse in that race, you can see that this rating for this race is 0 to 70, which means every horse that has a rating up to 70 can go in this race, but if you read into it, sometimes they go, and horses up to 72 or 74 can also apply. So you'll see here we've got Bella Capella is on 72. So now we're going down, we're going to go down the card. So we'll do the second horse. Now this was the winner, remember. Now when we look at the form of She's Sentimental, last 3 races, right, forget the one at the top because that's the one that's just won. You think, hold on a minute, scratch your head, 8th of 8, 9th of 10, and 9th of 12. Absolute rubbish. So we click on the last race that horse was involved in, and the first thing we need to look at is the RPR for the winner, which is 99. So we'll put that in the first column, because that's the Racing Post rating of that race. So the first thing we need to do is scroll down. We know it finished last of 8, but we don't know what it's been beaten by. So the one that's in brackets, the 8 means it's been beaten 8 lengths from the horse in front of it, but the 14 in brackets means that's what the winner has beaten that horse by. So it's been beaten 14 lengths, so that becomes minus 14 on the beaten side. Alright, because you can't have a plus, you can't beat a horse that's won. Alright, so that's how that will look. Then we need to look at the weights. Now the weight here that She's Sentimental carried was 9 stone 2. So now we have to go up to the top to find the winner. And the winner was off of 9 stone 9. So there's a difference there of £7. But this one is lower than the winner. But the difference is still 7. But it's a -7 because it's £7 behind the winner. So we will now go -7. So that would be that race over. So if you look at the end, you can see how close these horses are. All right, but we have to work out the last 3 races. But you can see that one there has absolutely no form at all, but it's only 1 point behind Bella Capella. And Bella Capella, as we know, finished first. Then this race, I think she was second, and then the last race was a winner. But we're not. We're 8th, 9th, and 9th for this horse. So what you're not seeing, you would never see. This is hidden to most people unless you know how to sort out the Timeform figure. So we'll come out of that race, and then we'll go into the second race down where it finished 9th of 10. And again, the first thing you do, you get used to this, is you'll come to the Racing Post rating and you'll see for that race it was 92. And again, forget everything else that you see. That's all you need is 92 in that box. We know it finished 9th, so we're going to go down to where the 9th is, and we'll see this time it's been beaten 8 lengths, because that's the one in brackets, not the half, because the half is the horse in front. The 8 in brackets tells us that's what it's been beaten by the winner. So we'll put -8 in the beaten column. And then the last column, we can see that the weight was 9 stone 5, or 9 stone 5 pounds, and the winner raced off 9 stone 6 pounds. So we was inferior by £1. We were £1 behind the winner. So that £1 needs to be a -1. So now if you look at the end here, in the second race, you can see that already she's sentimental is on 83 as opposed to Bella Capella's 79. And of course, we know the horse won because we're doing this after the event. But with that form that you look at, you just scratch your head, you can't see it. And if you work this out on so many races today, there's only been 2 meetings, you see how many winners it brought up. So again, we're going to go into the third race. And the RPR there at the top, make sure you get the right one because you've got original ratings, you've got top speed, but you need the RPR because they can all look similar. So you want the 87. And now we're going to go down until we find out what it was beaten. And it was beaten 7 1/4 lengths. So -7.25 for the quarter bit. And this time the weight carried was 9 stone 3. And at the top the winner was off 9 stone 6. So from 9 stone 3 to 9 stone 6 is £3, but we know again it's inferior, it's a lower mark. So you take the £3 off. So those 3 figures that you've got there now, your highest one is 83. So that goes into the next column. And there you go. That's how you get your winner, but you don't know that yet. Because don't forget, I could still have 3 or 4 horses in this race, Dutch them and still have it. Alright, so we want to go on to our third horse, which is Alpine Girl. And again, that first race at the top is the one that was tonight. And we need these figures here. So you can see it was 6 of 7, 3rd of 7, and 3rd of 6. You would think, yeah, it's got an okay chance, you think. So we'll open the first race up. and we'll see that the winning RPR this time was 69, so a lot lower, that one. And then we'll come down here, we'll see that Alpine Girl in brackets, not that one there, the one in brackets, has been beaten by 7.5 lengths. And the pounds, well, it had 9 stone 10, and the winner was off of 9 stone 2. So this time, Alpine Girl is a lot higher than the winner. So this time it's a +8, not a minus this time, it'll be a +8. So after that race, you can see down the end here, that brings up 69.5. So we've still got She's Sentimental in front. Now working into the second race, and you have to do 3 as an average. Alright, there goes the RPR again, 79. Then we want to know how far it was beaten, finished third this time. You want the 1 again in the brackets. So you go -2.25 for 2.25 lengths. And then we'll see that the weight here was 9 stone 12. The winner was off a 9 stone 10. So we're higher by 2 pounds this time. So that will be a +2. And again, you can see it's catching up, 78.75 this time. And moving into the last race, this is a lot quicker to do once you get to know what you're doing. It's just that I'm feeding everything back at the same time. So this time, this one, raced off of 78, and again finished third, and this time only got beat 3/4 of a length, the one in brackets. So -0.75 of 1 length. And now we'll see the weight is 9 stone 8, and the winner is 9 stone 12. So this time, the winner is carrying 4 pounds more than what we are. So this time, it will be a -4. So we'll put in -4. So the highest one of those 3 will be 78.75. So at the moment, we've still got She's Sentimental in front from Bella Capella and Alpine Girl. And this was the one, there was a few quid that was coming for this while I was watching it. This was Kensington Agent. So when we looked at Kensington Agent, again, you've got the line of form there with the dash that's no good here because that was tonight. And you can see 8th of 9, 4th of 7, 5th of 11. It's okay, it's not brilliant. And we'll open the first one up. So we have 72 as the RPR. Then we need to see how far the horse was beaten into 8th. It got beat 5.25 lengths. So 5.25, but remember, every figure in the beaten column has to be minus, unless of course it's a 0. But everything else has to be a minus figure because it will throw your figures out at the end. So again, Kensington Agent, 9 stone 9 pounds, and the winner was off of 9 stone 4. So this time we're carrying a heavier weight than the winner, and we give ourselves a +5. Alright, and the figures come up down the end, so that race would have been a 71.75. Into the second. And this time the RPR is 7070, so we'll put that one in. And it was beaten in brackets there by 1.5 lengths. And the difference in pounds, Kensington Agent was 9 stone 9 and the winner was offered 9 stone 3. So there's a difference of £6 in our favour because we're higher. So you would add 6 to that. And the next line over there now would show at 74.50. So gradually getting better. And moving into the third line of form, we can see straight away that the RPR was 87. It got beat by 5 1/4 lengths. So the next line will have minus 5.25. And this time we want to see the weight, 9 stone 6. The winner was off a 9 stone 9. So we're lower this time than the winner's weight. So we will have a minus 3. And that will be the last one that goes up, which is 78.75. Now you can also see how close the race is as well. Alright? This is why when you watch a race and they all sort of go past together, this is the reason why they go past together. You can see that Bella Capella on 79 is only 1/4 of a length better than Alpine Girl and Kensington Agent. But at the moment, She's Sentimental is 4 lengths better than Bella Capella. So we've got to go and work into the next one. This was Miss Moonshine. And this was another one that had some half decent form in the race. Last 3 there, 3rd, 2nd, 1st. So you think, yeah, that's got a good chance of winning. There's that top one again from tonight that we don't need. So when you work out first, remember, you only use the end figure. So that end figure, when they've won, will be 65, then a 0, then a 0. Because it can't have any different in weight with the winner, because it is the winner. And it couldn't be beaten by anything, because it won. I know that sounds really silly, but that's how easy it is to work that line of form out. So now we're going back into the second line of form, and this time we'll see that Miss Moonshine finished 2nd, and the RPR first of all would be 67. So 67 goes in, then we can see it's been beaten by 3 lengths. You don't need to see the horse that finished 2nd in brackets because there's nothing to add to it. It's only been beaten by the 1st. So when you've been beaten by 3 lengths, that becomes a minus 3. And again, with the weights, we had 9 stone 4 and the winner had 9 stone 5. So we're under by £1, so that becomes a minus 1. So you can see that this Miss Moonshine at the moment is way off the pace. 65 and 63. So we'll move into the last line of form where it came 3rd. So it doesn't necessarily mean because a horse wins or a horse finishes last that the Timeform figure is going to be better. And again here, you can see the RPR is 64. It was then beaten in brackets there by 2.5 lengths. So we're minus 2.5 off. And this time you'll see the weight was 9 stone 4 and the winner was 9 stone 2. So this time you've got a higher weight than the winner and the difference is £2. So this will be a plus £2 because you have the higher weight. So if you look at the figures here, 65, 63 and 63.50, depending on what kind of bets you like doing, you'd think to yourself, well, this is one of the favourites that are there. How's that going to get anywhere near the rest of that field? 83, 79, 2 on 78, 75, and suddenly this is 13 points off. So to me, that is never going to win. But of course, you can never say never in horse racing. Then we're going to go into the next horse, which is White Mist. Now again, if you look at the form on White Mist, you'll see, again, that was the last one tonight. It did come second. It was unlucky, really. Got the rails, and at one point I thought it was going to win, and then this thing came on the outside and won as it liked. But again, if we forget the first line for a minute, the bottom two lines, it's won. So we know it's going to have won on 64 and 62. So we'll move into the second line of form. We know that's 64, and we know that's going to be 0, 0. And here it's going to be 62, 0, 0. Right? So that's the end with that. Then we want to look at its last piece of form, because it finished second. And the RPR here was 66. And it was beaten a neck. Now again, these figures, 0.375, because a neck is half of 3/4 of a length. So you minus 0.375. I don't know why it's not. Oh yeah, of course it will be. Yeah. So that just rounds it up, because I haven't got enough room to put the 0.375, the three figures after the decimal there. So we're just using, it'll round it up. And now, of course, we need in the last one the difference in weight. Now this was 9 stone 1, and the winner was 9 stone 4. So we're less. So we want to do a minus 3 pounds. And again, you can see that White Mist's form, 62, 64, 62. This is another horse you would say to yourself, don't think they can win that. Right? Because we can see where all the big figures are at the moment. And the last one we're going to look at will be Come On Girl. Now there is a bit to this system that I'm going to show you in a moment, but I tend not to use it because it doesn't really work out. I'll tell you what, let me do this horse first, and then I'll go into that part of the system that I don't use anymore. So again, we've got that last run that happened tonight where it finished last. 8th of 10, 4th of 8, and 2nd of 9. So we'll go on the first race, and we'll see that the Racing Post rating, or the RPR, was 84. Then after that, we need to go on where it finished, which was 8th, and again you'll see in the brackets there, it's been beaten by the winner by 7 lengths, so we know that's got to be a 7 minus. And again, if you just look into that beaten column, the only 2 you will see are on 0, right? Everything else will be in a minus. Same with this column, same with this column, BTN or beaten. And then we'll look again at the weight. We've got 8 stone 6, so a low weight for this Come On Girl. And the winner was 9 stone 8. Now I'm glad we found one like this, because we haven't had one yet. Now if you don't know your pounds because you're too young to be brought up on that, and you've been brought up on kilos and grams, then this is where it will get difficult for you. But 8 stone 6, yeah, up to 9 stone, there's 8 pounds to get to that 9 stone. So that is the way I do it. So I say, right, I've got 8 pounds to take me to 9 stone. Then I've got another 8 pounds past 9 stone. So we've got to minus 16 pounds from its total. because don't forget he's got the lower weight, so that £16 will be a minus for Come On Girl. So we'll take that £16 off, and that will leave us a figure of 61. So what you can see is, even though it ran in a very high rated race, because if you go through the averages here of the RPRs, not all of them are up to that standard. So of course, because he's not good enough for that race, that's why they give him a low handicap mark and a low weight, because they think it hasn't got a good chance like the favourites that will be on a higher weight, so they give them £16 less than the winner, because then they should be able to dead heat first with the winner. That's the idea of it. But of course it's also been beaten 7 lengths on top of the £16, so that's why that brings that down to 61, which is still not far off the two here that have been consistently winning. So we'll go into the second race now, where Come On Girl finished 4th. So what we'll see there is a Racing Post rating of 63. It was beaten by 3.5 lengths, so minus 3.5 there. And then the weight again, 9 stone 8 this time, and the winner has got 9 stone 8, so we know there's no difference. So that's just a 0. And the last race that you want now, Come On Girl finished 2nd. Again, the race this time here, the RPR for the final time was 70. It was beaten a neck, and as I said to you, it's minus 0.375. But if anyone does want a template or anything, I'm not going to do this tonight, but send me a message tomorrow, because I'll need to update it. This is an old one, and if you look, I've got lines all over it and stuff, and I'd rather really do that more professional than give you it that way. And when we go back into this race, you can see that Come On Girl, the weight was 8 stone 9, and the winner was 9 stone 3, so we're minus again, and that's £5 to take that to 9 stone and 3 over 9 stone. So I always do 5 there and 3 there, so that's another minus 8 to come off of that total. And you'll see how close the totals are as well. You've got 61, 59.50 and 61.63. That's if they're all running at their best. So what we're going to do now, the JHR, all that means is John's Horse Racing, or ratings I should say, John's Horse Ratings. So what we will do, we will put them in descending order. And you will now see how we've given She's Sentimental. No cheating, everything's there for you. You've seen me do everything. It's only with numbers. Now, one thing that I used to do that I'm going to show you that I don't do anymore, how do we find that race is rated 0 to 70? Right? How is that race 0 to 70? And most of these horses are over 70, and we've got some under 70. Well, the reason for that is what they've done with Bella Capella. They've given the horse 9 stone 11 to carry. Now, the weight for age and everything else, the weights in this race would be 9 stone 2 if everybody was off levels or racing in a classified race. Right? This would be everybody on 9 stone 2. So effectively, Bella Capella is weight would be £9 more than 9 stone 2. So when you look back at here and you say to yourself, if I took £9 off of the weight, what would you get left with? 70. And that's how you get the 0 to 70 handicap. And that's why that horse can go in it, because at 9 stone 2, it couldn't go in the 0 to 70. But because they give it £9 more in the weight, which takes it up to 79, which I've got there, it can race in it, because you take the £9 extra off of that figure to bring it back to 70. And this works exactly the same if you use Come On Girl. If you look at Come On Girl at the bottom on 8 stone 4, there's £10 to bring you to 9 stone, and then £2 more to bring you to 9 stone 2. So effectively, you've got to add £12 on Come On Girl. So if we added £12 on to Come On Girl, that would now be 73.63. But what it doesn't do properly is that these figures, to me, don't seem to work when you're trying to add on the difference of the handicap. Because really and truthfully, if a horse is no good, it doesn't matter what you give it on its back, it won't win. Right? So I tend not to touch these. And also, what you should do is, say for instance, you've got Miss Moonshine here, and you've got £7 claim. There's a reason why a jockey's got a £7 claim. It doesn't work for them all. We know Billy Lockmain was an exception. But if you're claiming £7, it's because you're not as good as a professional jockey. You won't know how to get your horse out quickly from the starting stalls. You might not be able to know where to position the horse. So I tend not to worry about that. And of course, even 5 or 10 minutes before the race, they could injure themselves and another jockey take over. So I tend not to worry about the weights or the jockeys. So don't think like a little bit extra outside the box and think, well, if you did give them more weight and everything else, it should level out. You can try it, all right? But I've done this for many years, and it doesn't make any difference at all. And even if we did, we'd most probably still have She's Sentimental up there somewhere, because this is £8 over. All right, we'll look at this quickly. That's 9 stone 2 everyone would be carrying, but because of the weight, again, to put them in a 0 to 70, this has now got a +8. So if we went into here and we took 8 off of 83, it would bring that down to 75. All right, so it most probably still would be the top rated horse, and it's something you can look at doing. But if you go through all of today's races and have a look at what we've done here, you will see how many winners you've had today. As I say, I had to rush you through a few of them. Because I was doing other things. So let's have a quick look. You can see that the 325 of Catterick, this was a race I wasn't going to bet in, obviously. But my top rated there was Eye of Dubai, which won, but it won at 10 to 11, but a winner's a winner. Then in the second race I worked out here, this was the 155 at Catterick, actually it was the first race. I gave 2 dead heated at the top, and one of them was King of the Jungle, which won. Then in the 225, you can see I'd given Stash the Cash in second, and that one. Then I was messing around with another one, which I didn't get time to finish, but Beauty Choice already looked pretty good for that race. And then I worked out the 427. This was another race I didn't bet in because this horse had only run twice. And the winner was Shelbourne. And of course, it was my second selection. So you can see that every race I've worked out has basically been a winner. Alright, this race I didn't even get time to do. And this here is just a combination of some winners, that's all. This was the last race, right? And in the last race I gave Cracker Star and one of the outsiders, Maxim de Winter. Now that lost because Cock and Bull won. But if you look down the end there, there's not a big difference between first and third. So that race we didn't worry about. Then we went to the race before that one, and Dark Dreamer won it. And I'd already given a couple of big outsiders to beat it, so we would have backed Dark Dreamer on this system. That would have been another winner. And then I'd done She's Sentimental. I didn't work them all out. I was just working a few horses out. Zero Carbon won. That one I don't think we would have had. That would have been another loser. But the first two races at Kempton, one went off rated 88 and the other one 82. I think I may have had both of those top rated. So you can see that this system could be what you're looking for. But again, like my other one, it takes time to do the races. All right, as I said, this race here would take me, I think, in the region of about 10 minutes from start to finish to write everything out and do all the form and put them in order. I mean, I've had a few meetings where I've gone right through the card and won. So it's not impossible, but of course I'm not betting one horse per race. But if you were, you still would have had the winner there. And it was a fair enough price. So that is another system for you to look at. That's pretty much similar to where Timeform would get their figures. But of course it gets a little bit more different when you're doing a jumps race because the figures are totally different. And especially if a horse in its last three on the flat was a jumps figure, all that changes as well. I can't show you everything in one evening. There's so much to go through, but we can do that as part one for now. And as I said, if you want a template, you can email me from when I put the video up, but I wouldn't be able to do that now till tomorrow because I want to be able to make a new template to send. Alright, you don't have to pay for it, and I think it's a free template, so there's no problems there. So thanks for watching this video, and just put a few comments down there, see if you liked it or not, or perhaps I've missed something that you think may have been important. Alright, and we'll speak tomorrow.